I came to AEW to dominate.
Double Jeff Perry.
Nobody is going to take this away from me. This is mine once again.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the AEW Full Gear Preview Show. I'm here with the one, the only Zach Smith, and the Ashley Mann. Guys, how you doing? Are you excited for the pay-per-view?
I mean, I'm excited. I don't know about you guys. I don't know about Zach, but I'm excited.
Are you going in person?
No,
So
and I tried. I looked at it. I looked this morning, and the tickets are like damn near completely sold out, like for real, like even on like StubHub and stuff. So I tried, but I can't do it.
Hey guys, real quick, I'm sorry, and I'm kind of glad we're all here. I wanted to check with both of you, and no big deal, but I think you guys just need to check your phones because I do think they're broken because we got together for this. I have been trying to get in contact with both of you when it was coming up for Halloween Havoc time, and both of you seemed busy or whatever, and I was just wondering, like, are the phones okay now? Is your service okay? Like, are we good, or is that cool now? Or I was worried.
Mine is brawn broken.
The way that it's set up is it blocks Halloween Havoc. It just mutes it. So I didn't see it, Zach.
Ashley, I appreciate your answer. Maybe I don't appreciate yours as much. I just wanted to check.
All right.
I'm excited.
Maybe
Yeah,
if there's
maybe
an
fine.
NXT,
You have a really good show. Fine. Are you happy? Fine. It's really exciting, and I'm really happy about it.
I was actually going to introduce you as our future AEW Rampage review host, Zach Smith, but I didn't want to put that kind of pressure on you.
Sure, and I appreciate that.
Now
NXT
there it
2.0 is just up the bar, so I hope you're ready.
I will say
I review such a bad show. It's so nice to talk about a good show, you guys.
All right, well,
I'm sorry.
Let's get into it. Before all the nonsense happens, let's have the nonsense go on as we're talking about this stuff, because we have a killer pre-show match. I'm taking the crap, but we have a killer pre-show match to talk about, which is Nyla Rose, Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida versus Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa. I just want to get right into this one, guys. What do you think? I'm surprised by this. I thought they'd do some kind of TBS championship, maybe just like one of the matches, like even if they did like a Jade Cargo Red Velvet, like on the pre-show or on the show, or just give the women a little bit more representation, but I guess that was my mistake for having that expectation once again. But any thoughts on the pre-show match before we move on?
I think it's probably a thing where they're not. AEW's really good at a lot of things. Showcasing their women's division is not one of those things yet, and I don't think that's an on-purpose thing, but I think that might be an accident thing. Because it's the pre-show. Doesn't really matter. I probably won't even see it. But, I mean, they've never done, like, a super-duper job with this, so it's not, like, surprising necessarily.
Yeah, and I think with this one too, they kind of have a built-in excuse for at least the Shida and Rosa side. If they're still kind of playing off of the abuse that Shida took from Serena Deeb, like leg injury wise, I think that they can kind of just play off of that and just piggyback off of that storyline and kind of just have it more so just kind of showcase Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter for the kind of buy-in for this episode. But I don't know, like I don't think that it's really going to be anything monumental here. And I think, like you were saying, maybe it's just they just kind of needed something to put on the buy-in, as crappy as that is to say.
No, I understand that. I will say, I don't know if you guys remember the Double or Nothing buy-in match, but I do vividly. Pop quiz. Can either of you tell me what the match was? Double or Nothing this year, the buy-in match.
Oh.
Mimi, I wish I could. As your friend, I wish I could
feel
be
like
here
I know
for
it.
you.
I feel like I know it. It's frustrating.
Oh, no, I remember it. I remember it was Riho versus Serena Deeb. And to me, it was one of my favorite matches of the entire night. I actually think we went over that. We had a review show together, Ashley, but it was like a sleeper match. Like, of course it was, because Serena Deeb was in it. And Riho is no slouch herself either. But so I do have, like, you know, you never know. You never know how these things can end up, but I don't have high hopes. I think the baby faces are going to take the win here, though, Shida and Rosa, but I'll throw it over to you first, Zach. Who do you think's getting the win on the pre-show match?
Yeah, I mean, probably baby faces, right? If it's a pre-show thing, there's no reason to have it kick off with your bad guys winning. I can't possibly think of a reason why it would matter who would win or lose for any of the people here. Yeah, probably baby faces. That would make the most sense for where it is and kind of what it is.
Ashley?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with Nyla, Rose, and Hayter. I think I'm gonna be that person here starting off. I don't know. I feel like they're with the damage that they did with Sheeta and Deeb and on Sheeta's knee. Now, if Sheeta comes out and she's just fine and dandy and not selling it, then I'm gonna feel like an idiot. And of course, and to me that'd be a clear sign. But if Sheeta comes out and she's still favoring her knee and all that good stuff, I just feel like that's just kind of like a failsafe for the heels to kind of go over here. And again, like you were saying, like it doesn't really matter since it's just like a preview show, and I think this is just going to be on like YouTube or something. Or I don't know, do they air it on like Bleacher Report or anything like that? Do you guys know, or if that's just on YouTube?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. So yeah, I feel like Rose and Hayter is just kind of an excuse to give it to them here. But again, I could be completely crazy, and she could come out and act like nothing ever happened.
The only thing I will say is I think that, and I just had this realization too, I had like, duh moment, like Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida are facing off next in the TBS tournament, and Jamie Hayter and Thunder Rosa are facing off next, and I assume both Shida and Thunder Rosa are going to win in those matches, so I assume that's why they take the victory here. However, who knows? It could definitely go either way. And I'm with you. I think Jamie Hayter has been. Do you guys see that crossbody she took this week from Thunder Rosa in the women's match?
Oh, from Thunder, yes.
Uncomfortable.
But she's so good at whatever she's. I think she's got a lot of star power there, and I think we've definitely sung her praises before as well, Zach. But let's move on to the show because I got to be up at 5:00 in the morning tomorrow. And I'm sure we were going to have plenty to talk about because this is a long card. Here, over/under, guys. Over/under, how long do you think the pay-per-view is going to go? Change it up a little bit.
I'm saying 4 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like as many matches as there are, it's going to be like 4.5.
Okay. Not counting the buy-in. Just
right.
The itself.
I'll give them about 4 hours. So if it's anywhere in between 4 and like 30, it'll be Ashley. But otherwise, yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be under 4 hours. But I have a feeling it's not. I felt like they did a good job with Revolution. Like it didn't feel. I felt more drained from like WrestleMania Night 2 than I felt from Revolution. God, yeah. And I don't think the show was nearly as long. So hopefully, I mean, but then they put matches like this on the card, so no wonder it's going to be 4 hours. What do you guys think? Pac, Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black and Andrade. Zach, I'm going to send it over to you first, too. What are your thoughts and your prediction for the night?
Hey, man, Malachi Black team better not lose to a Cody team, man. I'm still annoyed he lost to the man himself. Yeah, no, Team Malachi better win that. There is no point. There's no reason. Don't do that. Don't have him lose. That'd be dumb. No. Malachi's team win.
Yeah, weird. Why would they ever just have him lose? Like, what was it, like 2-1 now? It's like a 2-1 record?
It's 2-1, which isn't that much different than 2-0, but means so much less somehow.
Yeah,
and so if it's 2-2, that'd be ridiculous.
I heard Jim Ross too on commentary this week, and then I'll throw it to you, Ashley. He said something like, "I could watch these guys fight forever. Like I'll never get sick of this." And I was like, "Oh, I am. I'm sick of it." I was actually sick of it after the second fight, probably. I was hoping they would just move on. But Cody Rhodes is milking this I don't want to turn heel thing, going through the crowd, really, really trying to do everything he possibly can to get a cheer, at least from my perspective. What do you see? Am I totally biased just because I'm like super angry at Cody Rhodes for some reason right now, or what are you thinking, Ashley?
Well, no, and my thing was, where the hell was he coming from to begin with in the crowd? Like, where are you coming from, dude? Like, that's the second time we've seen him when he's come in to make the big save that he's come through the fans, and like. It's the upper level too. It's like, where are you coming from? Like, it's just maybe that's like legit the first thing I thought of. Like, I kind of chuckled when I saw him. I was like, dude, like, what are you doing up there? But I'm agreeing with you, Zach, 100%. Like, you got to give it to Black and Andrade here. Like, I don't see why you would put Cody over. And it sucks that Pac is kind of just like carried along with Cody and just like lumped along with him here. And it's so interesting to see, like, maybe not getting the rub is the proper way to put it, but just like having Cody partnered up here with Pac just to kind of get some like love off of him in crowd support wise. It's just kind of interesting to see, but I don't know, like I'm more so wanting to see how the fans react there to Cody than invested in the outcome of this match, as horrible as that sounds. But I just think it's just kind of obvious what we're all here for, right? It's Cody. It's as bad as that is, but that's why I think you have to have Black and Andrade win here so they can go off and do their own thing and have Cody do whatever he's going to be doing.
All right, I'm gonna disagree with both of you because I'm gonna go into my realm of like I really wish this could happen, but it's not actually gonna happen. I'm getting real John Cena vibes from Cody Rhodes lately. But I would love, actually I take it back. I'm agreeing with you guys. I would love Malachi Black and Andrade win, and then we get somehow there's some miscommunication because they can't coexist. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that storyline, but it's one of my favorites. Can they?
Never
coexist?
seen it once.
Can't coexist. Wow, I gotta write that down.
Yeah, I know. There you go. Pac and Cody Rhodes, and then we see after the match some kind of altercation, and then we get a feud between Pac and Cody Rhodes where I don't know if either delusionally they try to book Pac as the heel, but Cody Rhodes is clearly the heel. Maybe Cody Rhodes goes full heel turn, comes to his senses, and just does it. But that's I think in a too perfect world. I'm gonna go just to be different. I'm gonna go with Pac and Cody Rhodes are actually gonna take the win here. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm genuinely hoping I'm wrong. I feel bad for Pac too, man. Like it's just kind of getting dragged along with this. It just seems very out of place.
Yeah, like him and Cody don't seem like a natural team.
No, not at all. And sometimes that can work, but this seems weird.
Kind of seems like he's just added on because they didn't have anything else for him, which kind of has been happening a little bit.
Yeah, definitely underutilized. I can also understand why they've been kind of dealing with that, considering the travel restrictions and all of that stuff. With there's some pandemic or something going on. I don't know, but whatever. It's been hard for him to get in and out of the country.
I don't think there has been. I'm pretty sure there hasn't.
Where part of the country are you in?
Yeah.
Apparently the wrong one. Not Texas, I will tell you that one. Nothing wrong, by the way, with whatever Texas is doing. But all right, let's move on. Before we go down that road, let me go to the street fight. The Inner Circle versus American Top Team. Divisive none the least. This seems to be like one of the hottest things going on right now in the arenas during Dynamite. The crowd just seems to eat it up. But I'm gonna throw this over to Ashley for the first this time. What do you think? There's been some. Chris Jericho's kind of seems like he's a little bit stuck in the 90s to me, but you kind of can't deny the noise that's coming from these promo battles. So what are you thinking on the night?
Yeah, no, I feel you. Like part of me is kind of like when it's Jericho and Paige out there, for instance, like and they're interacting, I'm kind of like cringing and like kind of just afraid of what he's gonna say because it's very Jericho and Stephanie McMahon vibes to me, and just the time frame that we're in now, like it's just not. And maybe it's just the fact that I'm older and I'm a different person now, but like even then, it, like to me, at that point, I guess you should say I was more like a kid, but I was like a young teenager-ish, so I was like, I understood what he was saying, but it wasn't funny. Whereas now I'm just like, dude, like you don't need to be saying it, but I don't know, maybe I just read too much into what he's specifically saying and just like the innuendos and stuff like that. But because I just feel like, especially with her being an athlete and a fighter, like there's so many other things you can pick on her for and like pick apart, and you just don't have to go there, but like take the easy route. So that I could do without, but I'm just kind of ready for this whole thing to be over with too. I'm not really a fan of Dan Lambert and American Top Team and all that. I get it, right? Business wise and all that good stuff. And I'm sure it's going to be like an entertaining match since it's a street fight. And they have so many like safety precautions there with Lambert not being a wrestler and all that. But I don't know. I'm just kind of ready for it to be over with. I'm kind of ready for Lambert to be gone. And I may be in the minority with that, but I don't know. Like he's a good heel and everything, but he's just not needed. I feel like other people should be getting the focus. So I'm ready for it to be over with and for Inner Circle to kind of do their own thing moving forward too.
Zach, what do you think?
Hey, it's a good point listening to Chris Jericho promos. Feels like they have a lot of landmines in them, and it sure does make it less enjoyable when you're kind of waiting for something to be said that shouldn't be. I'm a level with you guys. You can't care about all of them, you know? This is a very popular story, and I don't know why, and I haven't enjoyed it for a second. And I bet this match is going to be really good live because the crowd is going to react, but I bet it's going to be not great to watch on TV. And I don't know. I'm going to assume American Top Team wins because you're going to have some bad guys win, and this is the one, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of you. Actually, I'm in the same boat as you as well. I feel like, to me, it's just lazy. It's like the homophobic jokes. You've got like Anthony Bowens and other people too in the locker room.
And the thing with me that was the 5-on-1, right? Not to cut you off, but like since you brought up the 5-on-1 thing, he was like, oh yeah, I bet you would want to take like all 5 guys on at once.
So
it's
what
like,
if she would?
Come on, like, yeah, first of all, yeah, but it's like, come on, dude, like you said, it's just like, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm just, I don't know.
It's very WWE.
Yeah.
And not even but it's too funny for WWE. It's in the weird purgatory of WWE and AEW, and I don't want to be there anymore. I think you can be funny without being offensive. I also don't think I'm super oversensitive, and I think so. I didn't at first I didn't even realize it, and then I think by the second promo I was like, oh wait, he's kind of being a you know what?
Yeah.
But maybe again, and so it's good to hear, Zach, that you're in the same company too, because sometimes I think, is it, I think, isn't it AEW's female audience is really, really small from what I understand, and this is probably why. You go with Paige Van Zandt, who, by the way, could probably kick all of their butts easily. Not that she's the greatest fighter of all time, but she's certainly no slouch, And the last thing I'll say about this too, before I ask your guys' predictions, is first of all, this week on Dynamite, some of those elbows being thrown onto Chris Jericho look so bad. And then there was one of these times where Chris Jericho, the Inner Circle ran in, and Chris Jericho and Junior Dos Santos, right, former heavyweight champion in the UFC, so incredible the fact that I even know who he is. We're going blow for blow with Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho came out on top.
Yeah, same.
I was
equal
lost.
level.
Yeah.
Equal level.
I think ever since, what's the guy's name? I really like his last name. Agogo. I think ever since Agogo, I've thought
Anthony Agogo.
Yeah, you called it, Ashley, by the way. He lost that match and goodbye. But ever since, I don't know if there's something else going on with him too, but ever since he kind of came in, I've looked at now all fighters, I just feel like they throw punches harder and stuff like that, and apparently not when it comes to Chris Jericho, who is Mr. 50-year-old invincible man. Just blew me. You couldn't have even come up with a steel pipe or something to even the odds. I don't know. I don't have a lot of. I'm so glad you guys are on the same page as me, because I'm so confused why this is so hot in the crowds. People just love Chris Jericho, love the Inner Circle. But so,
I mean, it is fun to boo Lambert, right? So I will
100%.
say, since I was at the Orlando show, now it's easy to boo him, right? It's fun, I think, because at least heel wise, they don't really have, and of course you have MJF, but heel wise you don't really have someone else to viscerally hate, and I think that's probably why too Cody is getting a lot of hate, just because there's not really that many other options to truly hate in AEW right now. So I think kind of by default too, and he's just, it's just easy, I think too, is just why a lot of people play into it, at least from being there.
Yeah, I can imagine that 100%. I don't know if we saw. I think we did see him, but he didn't cut a promo or anything like that. Thank God. What are we thinking, Zach? I'll throw it over to you on the night. I'll tell you guys. I think the baby faces are going to win this, and they're all going to do some funny thing to what's his name, Dan Lambert. And we're going to get the nice payoff, which I guarantee it's going to feel cathartic. Whether or not we really like this promo or not, there's a way that this formula works, and watching all the good guys beat the crap out of the guy who couldn't shut his mouth, I think it's going to feel cathartic either way. So I'm calling the baby faces to win this one, and then hopefully Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky get to do something else outside of this. So what do you think, Zach?
I mean, yeah,
we'll move on
I guess
right after this, I promise.
It'll feel cathartic in the half attention I'm going to pay to it while it's happening. And then I guess it depends on if you feel like Inner Circle's just going to win and American Top Team kind of isn't as featured because then you lost, or they're going to stick around. And I think they might stick around. So I guess American Top Team. And understand with my whole heart that's not what I want, but that is what I think is going to happen.
What do you think, Ashley? I'm currently looking up the ages of all these American Top Teams, by the way.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this one, Mimi. I'm sticking with Inner Circle here to get the W, but this one is another one of those where I wouldn't be surprised, like you were saying, Zach, for the heels or like the bad guys to get the victory, because there's like so many opportunities with it being a Minneapolis street fight, not just a regular street fight, guys. A Minneapolis street fight is a big difference. Oh yeah,
big difference.
Well,
it's different, Mimi.
It's different from like a Philadelphia street fight that we've had and a Chicago one as well. It's just different, Mimi.
It's very different. I can't believe you didn't catch that.
There's something about Chicago street fight that like holds in my heart for some reason a little bit, but
you could believe it a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's just like from the first one I ever saw or something. Like, what's a Chicago street fight? And you weren't watching wrestling like 2 weeks ago when they had like the Philadelphia street fight or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was magic
they're all
for
different.
a week.
They're very different.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm looking
they're not
forward
even
to
close
this
to the
specific
same
reason.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why I think anything is possible here. But I'm sticking with the Inner Circle getting the W and then it kind of being over with. But I am curious to see like what happens with Dan Lambert and like the whole American Top Team after this, because you can't really have like a rematch, right, between Inner Circle and these guys. So this has to be it. So regardless of who wins, I wonder if they're done or what happens with them.
If they have some kind of partnership with AEW, and I'm not sure that they do or not. I know Dan Lambert has definitely, obviously, been very involved in professional wrestling with either TNA or Impact, whatever they were. Maybe we get. I'm looking at the members of American Top Team now, and Tyrone Woodley is on there. Obviously, with that Jake Paul thing, maybe he's into just doing, I don't know, professional wrestling stuff now. Obviously, we talked about Jorge Masvidal, who just disappeared, by the way.
He's injured. He's like apparently injured. He just had to pull out of a fight that he was supposed to have here soon. So.
Oh, okay. So that's why he's not. Because that also I felt like pulled a little steam out of this whole thing, and I will give them credit for doing a good pivot with that. But that seemed to be the payoff somehow. Bobby Lashley is a member of American Top Team. Anybody think he's going to show up at All Out? Or Full Gear?
You never know.
Not this time. All right.
Forbidden door.
Let's
we got it back though.
What'd you say?
Got it back, though.
So funny. All right.
It's not about the stumble. It's about the recovery, you know?
Let's move on to something a little more exciting. Again, depending on how you feel. Falls Count Anywhere match. Christian Cage, Jurassic Express versus Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. Ashley, I'm going to throw this one right over to you. What do you think? Did we not see this match already, by the way? Not to be the Debbie Downer again, but not in the Falls Count Anywhere, but we saw this match already, didn't we? Or Bryan Danielson was involved.
Yes.
No, yeah, it was.
I was there for that, wasn't I?
Yeah.
It's like my note arrived. I'm like, Ashley, can you check the scribe of my day to day? Was I there for that?
A question for a
on
different
Wednesday
person.
at 12:08.
Yes, at Wednesday at 12:08.
I don't. Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't even realize this was Falls Count Anywhere. This is the first time it's like that. It's like sticking out to me and in my brain. So I don't know why I'm just not realizing that, but. I don't know, for this one for me it's kind of hard too to kind of figure out, and I'm just going to say here on record as well how much I was bothered by the fact that Adam Cole took a concerto on a Wednesday and had a match on a Friday 2 days later against John Silver. Yes, he did sell it, during the match, and he referenced it in I think a couple interviews he did prior, but that was just like, that's something serious you do. Like, it should be. And that's especially not, I thought he was going to be out for at least a week. And dude was back in 2 days. So it just still stands out to me. When I don't know why it's stuck in my brain now. But I don't know, like this, I could honestly see going either way. But with the beating that Jungle Boy in particular has taken lately, I just feel like they, especially like them as a tag team, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, they need a pretty like high key victory. Christian Cage, in my opinion, is just kind of there. And like, again, like I kind of forgot at one point too that he was even involved in this whole shebang. So he's just kind of there to me. And I kind of think after this too, that Christian Cage may turn heel either at Full Gear, maybe shortly after it, and have like a whole other story going off of that. But yeah, long story short, I'm gonna probably go with this one. I don't know why it's so hard for me, but I'm gonna stick with Jurassic Express just because Jungle Boy has got his you-know-what whooped lately, and I just feel like he needs a W here. And the Super Click, they can take a loss and just bounce back the next week.
Zach, I'm going to throw in my 2 cents before I throw it over to you. I'll give you a little something to chew on. I agree, by the way, Ashley. Totally agree, the concerto. That drove me nuts. And the only way I can kind of defend it is they wanted to give John Silver some more offense on Friday night against a guy as big of a deal as Adam Cole. I don't know if you've heard of him, Zach, Adam Cole, but he used to wrestle somewhere else, but now he wrestles in AEW.
Yeah, he's a really good new wrestler. I like him.
He's definitely it seems like he's trained a lot, been around a lot.
Some kind of developmental system.
100%.
Definitely.
It was Ring of Honor, right?
Yes, it was. Thank you so much. I couldn't think of the name.
Yeah. Nowhere else, though.
No. That was Ring of Honor, AEW. It's crazy he stayed there so long.
But I think that's but they honestly could have just done like a kill switch on the stage or something like that. Nonetheless, on that same note too, Jungle Boy was back in a week after getting thrown off the stage through a table.
Yeah.
So I think definitely needs to be something that's looked. I think it just felt lazy. It felt like, to me also, I don't think this match needs to be on the card. I think it feels a little bit like, we're EVPs and we're gonna be on the pay-per-view. I think we've seen, like I said, I saw this match already, except include Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, I think. Or something. I forget exactly what the line, or Brandon Cutler. Let me see if I can look it up. There was something at Full Gear. Not Full Gear, Grand Slam. Yeah, there was something with all these guys at Grand Slam, because I do remember it being the most fun match to watch, without a doubt. But, I
can't remember who was in it.
I mean, I'm sure this will steal the show, yeah, and I'm sure it'll be incredible, because it was, again, on that night, too, and we all know what these guys can do, but, it feels unnecessary to me. However, I'm gonna fantasy book it because I'm a nerd. What was the match?
Was it the same thing? I think, was it the same thing? It says AEW Rampage Grand Slam card, Adam Cole and Young Bucks versus Christian Cage and Jurassic Express.
There it is.
Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. And it just wasn't right. So they put the stip on it, right, to change it up a little bit. But, like, this so doesn't need to be on the pay-per-view. So unnecessary. And like we said, a lot of little pitfalls here and there. However, here's my fantasy booking, and then I'm going to send it over to you, Zach, is that Christian Cage does turn heel. Adam Cole and the Young Bucks win the match because if in a certain main event, a certain, best belt collector ends up losing, then we get this continued dissension between Adam Cole and Kenny Omega, where Kenny Omega can lose and Adam Cole can say, oh, but we won at Full Gear. Remember when you lost? And then, on that same token, Christian Cage can finally, I don't know if anybody else has been seeing this, but, finally turn on Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy puts Adam Cole in a snare trap on the stage, right? Okay, kind of, we understand why you're angry. Christian Cage just, grabs 2 chairs, gives him a concerto. Kind of a prick. Christian Cage, and you see him during interviews or whatever, I'm excited for it. I've seen a very slow burn. I could be crazy, but that's my ideal booking. The Super Elite take the victory. Zach, what are you thinking about all this?
Super Elite should win. I think that makes your story better. I think that's the best possible version of the story.
Is it undisputed?
I don't know why you're saying that word to me like it would mean something. I don't know why you're saying that to me. It makes everything better. It doesn't need to be on the show, certainly, but I would not think Adam Cole losing a match even indirectly would be done in this sort of circumstance. So I'm going to take Adam Cole.
Interesting.
There are 2 other guys in the match, too.
No, I'm taking specifically Adam Cole. I want to be very clear.
All right. What about Darby Allin, MJF? I'm going to throw it over to you again, Zach.
That's hard, huh?
A lot of people can't call this one.
No, because it didn't really hit me until you said it. That both of them probably should win, but you can't do that. Mm-hmm. You can't have a double win. Could they have a double win?
It's called a roll-up.
No, because then one person still loses. I'm saying, could my pick be they both win and they both get a win?
I mean,
okay.
They could go to a time limit draw or something like that and just.
They could, but those are ties. I want them both to feel like winners.
He doesn't want to draw. He wants a double victory. He wants them to be a tag team, face nobody, and win.
Yeah, exactly. MJF, I think that'll make people more upset. I think it'll give MJF more to brag about. I don't think MJF, the person he needs to lose to down the road, is Darby Allin. MJF.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Let me throw it over to you, Ashley. What did you think also, by the way, with this program? Like the Sting stuff, the beatdown, all of that, a whole bunch to cover here, but just overall, did this live up to like Darby Allin versus MJF?
I think we needed a little bit more promo-wise, or at least on the mic, or even video package-wise from Darby Allin. I think, like, part of me, like, appreciates the time that he took and, like, sold his injuries from, like, the beatdown angle and all that, because I was just complaining, you know, Adam Cole, for instance, just got a concerto back in 2 days, but Darby actually sold it, so I appreciate that. And we did get that weird concert video, which I still don't understand, of him, like, attacking this dude with the MJF mask, I think it was, or something like that, but I don't know, like, and he said, like, a few sentences, but I just feel like it maybe would have been, at least in my opinion, more impactful as a whole if we would have gotten a little bit more from Darby's side, just like what he's feeling and just like what he's thinking, and especially since MJF's the whole thing was he was trying to break him mentally and all that. I don't know, would have liked to actually hear more of what Darby is feeling and thinking, but MJF, I don't think anything involving MJF can suck or be bad, so this is, I like the fact that it's going to be like an actual wrestling match too, and not like some type of like crazy weapon match or whatever, coffin match, whatever stipulation they normally do with Darby Allin. I'm happy it's like a regular match, but I think MJF wins here. It sucks because Darby kind of needs a win here too, like Zach was saying, but MJF, he doesn't really need it more per se, but in a way he does, and I just feel like he would be hurt more in the grand scheme if he took this loss as opposed to winning here. So I think you put the W in on MJF so he can continue to crap talk in the weeks coming forward. But then again, Darby Allin is one of those guys, like, what do you do with Darby Allin after this too?
Yeah, I hate to be the person to say it, but I'm 3 for 3 here. I'm going MJF as well. I'm looking at the rankings now, too, just to see where everybody is. Scorpio Sky is 3rd in the rankings. Wow, I would not have called that.
How did that happen?
It's those dark
11
matches,
and 1.
man.
Probably on dark
That's
when
insane.
we were all not paying
Yeah.
attention. Bryan Danielson is number 3 with 7 and 0 and 1. Miro is 14 and 1. Paige is 12 and 1. Why is Paige 12 and 1 number 1, but Miro's 14 and 1 and he's number 2?
It's very complicated. You wouldn't understand.
Apparently not. Math
It
is
had to go
difficult
through a
for
whole
me.
bracket.
I just
it's
don't.
a whole,
I don't think
it's a whole
get it.
thing. There's calculations.
Apparently. I'm okay. So what are we talking about? MJF. I think MJF wins as well. I think. I'm gonna hot take here, guys. I don't think Darby Allin is a very good promo.
That's not a hot take. He's not.
Yeah, I don't. He's not. And, you know, he's also up against MJF as well, and I also don't think it needs to be a strong suit, but like MJF said, he is both. MJF can show up and show out in the ring, and I know what you guys are talking about feeling like Darby Allin needs a win, especially after the CM Punk loss. I think that we have this weird thing where we go into it feeling like, oh, this person needs a win or that person needs a win. And again, I think it's just like WWE brain where, like, you can really win in a loss. And I'm trying to think of the best match, like, example that comes to mind right off the back. Okay, Britt Baker lost to Thunder Rosa in that unsanctioned match. Who really won that match? You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
you never really know. So, again, that might be a little bit of an over-the-top example, but, like, you can really win in a loss. Even John Silver on Rampage against Adam Cole. Like, he still kind of won in that loss. So I think MJF takes this. It's probably with some kind of underhanded tactic. And maybe we start to see a little bit more of a crumbling with Wardlow. I don't know if anybody else gets involved, but it seems like FTR got their hands full, obviously. I'm passing up a beautiful opportunity to transition very smoothly. But before I move on, you guys have any more thoughts on this program, this match as a whole?
No, I mean, Darby's not a good promo. Darby Allin is Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was never great promo. The thing everybody loved about Jeff Hardy was not his promos, and that's fine. We all agree, so that does mean that Darby's going to win. But, I mean, everything we said still stands.
What about you, Ashley?
No, I couldn't agree with you more, Zach. Saying all that, MJF is probably screwed now, so sorry, buddy. But have you guys really quick heard what he said, like the things that he has said about his parents, like on Twitter and in interviews? Like, it's just brutal. I obviously can't say it here,
So great.
PJ and all that, but good grief. If you haven't seen it, you have to check it out.
Yeah, I will have to. I don't know what you guys are talking about, and I appreciate
Oh,
you not
man.
mentioning it, because that would take a lot of editing to censor, I guarantee.
It
Yeah,
sure
it
would.
was.
Almost every word of it would have to be, yeah.
You'd have like 3 you could save.
I did see a little while ago, he said something about, like, some person said, like, oh, my mom wants to, like, go on a date with you, and he said, he used some very foul language to describe a slightly older woman, and it wasn't,
nothing.
the man has no filter,
says-
essentially.
Don't worry, he says a lot worse about his mom.
Yeah, I'll send it to you later.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, well, so moving on then, like I said before, FTR did seem to have their hands full, and they do, with the greatest tag team of all time, including the greatest professional wrestler of all time, Ray Phoenix.
Wow.
AEW Tag Team Championship match of Lucha Bros versus FTR. Yeah, sure, guys, I'll take this one first, no problem, favoritism involved here. The Lucha
Forget
Bros,
how
I
weird
feel
her
like this
fandom
match
is.
this whole title reign has kind of sucked, guys. Not gonna lie. I like that they had a couple.
Wow.
Yeah, right. I
Wow.
mean, am I
I'm
wrong?
surprised you
though?
had said that.
I'm surprised you'd admit it.
Yeah,
I mean, no,
no,
that's
this is
yeah.
unbiased journalism here on the WWE podcast. Absolutely. I've been underwhelmed. I'll put it that way. And I honestly think the best thing to do is to take the title belts off them. I'll be upset. I'll cry. You guys will probably hear from me at midnight that night. You know what I mean? Needing to emotionally cope about the whole thing, but
Or 12:30 while we're still watching the pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly. But that steel cage match or whatever, like, I was thinking about it yesterday, actually. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I have never sat up and then laid back down and sat up and laid back down so many different times in a match. Put my hands on my head, my mouth, like, wide open, like, just, like, blown away. Oh, my God, this is going to happen. Oh, my God, that. Like, it really had me on the edge of my seat. The problem with the Lucha Bros, though, is I think they're I don't want to say they're better in chase. I just don't think this title reign has been booked effectively, and I think it's because they're not the Young Bucks, you know, and I was really hoping getting the titles off the Young Bucks would really put a focus on the tag team division. I will give you guys, no money, but 5 Mimi points. If you can guess 2 out of the 5 top-ranked tag teams, not including the Young Bucks, so 2 out of 4, I guess.
Top ranked. Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Express.
What do you think?
Yeah. Feels like Santana Ortiz would have to be in there, but I feel like it has to be weirder than that if you're asking me.
Yeah, because I'm going to give you a dark horse as with Private Party.
Private Party?
HFO,
Yeah.
or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
Number 1, FTR. Number 2, the Young Bucks. Number 3, Jurassic Express. Number 4, the Acclaimed. And number 5, Private Party.
I don't like that list.
Oh,
What?
wow, okay.
Like, Santana and Ortiz aren't even on here. So I assume if that's where they're going next, they're going to have to win some tag team, whatever. You know, guys, I think they're going to put it on FTR. And then I think we might go back to that Proud and Powerful versus FTR eventually. And we get that, you know, third match, 2 out of 3. Maybe they even do a 2 out of 3 falls match. Imagine those 4 guys in a 2 out of 3 falls match. See? And I think Ray Phoenix and Penta need to go back to just being Ray Phoenix and Penta. Penta's a great promo. They can definitely, even singles wrestlers, I think they're really, really good. There was that short little run during the pandemic. They were just kind of doing their own things, you know? But I just don't know if the AEW knows how to book them as champions. Clearly they know how to do something, because weren't they those Triple H champions for like 3 years or something like that?
Ever, yeah.
All right, I'll throw it over to you, Ashley. What are you thinking on this whole thing?
Yeah, Mimi, I'm actually very surprised that I agree with you.
I talked to
on
my
this, 'cause I
therapist
thought,
before this. You know, I'm all right.
oh, you were just having a great week. This is just your week, so kudos to you. But yeah, no, I hate to admit it, but I'm right there with you. Like I'm kind of like surprised with how lackluster of a reign this has kind of been for them. Like I don't really know what I expected, but I don't think this was it after they won. But I think what you're saying too, as you were kind of describing them earlier, I don't know why, and not to be weird or anything, but like it kind of reminded me of like a Rey Mysterio, right? Like once he was actually the World Heavyweight Champion, like it was just like, okay, he's the champion, but like you don't it's not like you don't want to see him as champion, obviously, but it's like the chase with him as a champion is so much better. Or like a Jeff Hardy, like your ultimate underdog type thing. So I think as a tag team with them, the chase is much better than actually the victory itself. But with them, I don't think maybe necessarily they need to be in chase mode to begin with. I mean, of course they need to visit the tag team title scene, but with them, like you said, like Penta is oddly enough such a good promo, and it's just Rey Fenix is there as well, and just like their presence, they come off as stars, so kind of with them, like less is more in a way. But I think what they've been doing with FTR and like the spotlight that they've had with them and being the AAA tag team champs, I think it'd be cool to see them as like a double champion role and to see them kind of just what they can do with that. And like you said, I think right off the bat, like they're gonna just resume that feud with Pride and Powerful. So, and I think that they should, and maybe they may have another short reign too, and it goes right to Santana and Ortiz. But I don't know. I just see FTR winning here.
What do you think, Lindsay? Before I'm going to give you some insight too. I think FTR is supposed to go to AAA and actually defend those AAA tag team titles in a couple matches. From what I understand, I could be totally wrong about that, but there will be some trips down to Mexico for FTR. I don't know if that plays into your prediction at all, but I was thinking about that and possibly going back. I'm like, oh, maybe they're not going to win the tag team titles if they're going down to Mexico a bunch.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, they've done real world stuff there.
So you've left me in a weird predicament.
Because then you have quarantine and all that too with timelines.
Yeah, that's true.
That's still a thing, right? With 14 days, they have to go to a different country.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Depends, unless they're in Texas, I guess. Sorry, I'm done.
Yeah. Or Florida also.
Or I was about to say right here in Florida.
Yeah. Welcome, Ashley, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no
it's
problem.
Interesting here.
That's a word for it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. PG word.
Exactly. Here's the thing. Everything you guys said, absolutely true. Chase would be better with the Lucha Brothers, been underwhelming since they actually got to the top of the mountain. So everything logically and with the flow of the story would indicate to me that FTR would win. I do have to pick opposite of that because we've done enough to the Lucha Brothers. Their biggest fan, Mimi, basically just trashed him and jumped off their bandwagon. So I won't do that to them because there's this thing called loyalty. Maybe look that up with your insights. And I'm picking the Lucha Brothers because somebody needs to have their back, and clearly it's only me.
Oh, I appreciate that. It is nice, and I'm sure
we
they
don't
would,
need your
they
appreciation
would really appreciate
here,
it.
actually, from either of you because you both jumped off the bandwagon. Thank you so much.
I'm just kind of hanging on to it and just
live
maybe
on the Ray. I built the Ray
direction.
Phoenix bandwagon.
Which makes it even weirder that you abandoned it. And we
enough.
appreciate your efforts, and you've been a great soldier for us, but the time has apparently come.
You know, I trust you to run this ship for me for now. You know, I will
You
say,
should.
though...
You see what I did to NXT? I've ruined it, dude.
Perfect transition, because this is a bandwagon I will never get off of. You won't be able to push me off of. You could put Yokozuna on the bandwagon, and I would still find room to stay on that bandwagon. Britt Baker
I could put Yokozuna on it, but all I have to do is make it a little bit of a bumpy ride, and you jump out the back yourself.
You'd think, but not on this one, because the Britt Baker bandwagon is the place I will be forever and always. Britt Baker versus Ty Conti, probably the most underwhelming, least built match on this card. However, I did like that 6-woman tag team match. That did promote it a little bit for me, and I'm hoping this is going to be a sleeper. But Ashley, as the Tony Schiavone to my Britt Baker, I will throw it over to you first. What are you thinking? I think this one's pretty obvious, but I still got to ask.
Oh, without a doubt, 100% Britt Baker. I would not put my money anywhere else in this one. And I hate to say it because, you know, Tay Conti has really come far in the past year itself. So, but this just isn't her time, you know, like, and this isn't Britt's time to lose, especially. And I think especially with Thunder Rosa being reintroduced on Dynamite and just the kind of a little bit of the spotlight that she is getting now on like the actual show and not just on Dark or Elevation or whatever. I think this is kind of like maybe the seeds to reigniting their feud going forward. So obviously I'm sticking with Britt here just because I think it's pretty obvious that because I don't see Thunder Rosa winning the TBS championship. I see her getting eliminated and then refocusing on Britt going forward. So That's the route I see. And if for nothing else, I really don't see anywhere else, especially with this other championship in play now. I don't see who else is out there to battle Britt right now, unless they brought in someone that's not on the current roster, which is a whole nother story. But with what we have now, I just think Britt retains here, and the next target in sight is Thunder Rosa.
Do you guys know Ty Conti is 30-4 for 2021?
Jesus.
Now I'm thinking
Stop making up fake records, dude. I'm sick of it.
Overall, she's 43-7. I'm thinking though.
Is this like Scott Steiner math? Where is this coming from?
I'm on the AEW rankings website. I'm at I don't have notes, don't have anything like that, but I am at least a little bit prepared with this. Jade Cargill is number 2 though on the rankings, 16-0, and I'm thinking it's nice to have rankings and have wins and loss matter. Just crazy. What a thought. But I'm thinking
Sounds
though.
Stupid, but whatever.
I'm thinking number 3 is Thunder Rosa. I love that callback they had with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker in the 6-woman tag team match on Dynamite last night. Forgetting what day it is for a quick second. But I'm wondering, does Jade Cargill win the TBS tournament then? I don't know. Maybe I'll just save that and ask you guys at the end of the show. Bonus question. But what do you think in regards to the women's match? And maybe where do you think they go next with Britt Baker, Zach?
I wish I had the courage to be able to, with a straight face, tell you I want to pick Tay Conti just to be different and upset Mimi a little bit.
It's not possible.
Yeah, well, it is though. Yeah, no, it's Britt. It's obviously Britt. It'll be a fun match. If you're gonna do the you can win even in a loss thing, this is probably one of your better candidates for that. In Tay Conti having a good showing with Britt here. And then, yeah, it feels like as the division is currently constituted, Thunder Rosa is the end point for Britt Baker's particular championship run. So I don't really know what we do next with Britt. I know where I think we're getting eventually, unless, like Ashley said, they bring somebody in, which there's been a few releases that could probably help a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Britt wins, we eventually get to Thunder Rosa. Feels like that's a little bit down the road.
Yeah, I'm thinking Ember Moon is a great shout from those releases. Ember Moon in this division would be key. I've asked Ashley
I was thinking Nia Jax. I'm sorry, not Ember.
Don't even start. Do not put that woman in this company here.
You've had it good too long, Burris. You've had it good too long.
I've asked Ashley this before too, Zach. If you were gonna pick one woman over from any part of WWE, SmackDown, Raw, NXT, to face Britt Baker for the title, who would be your number 1 pick?
Io Shirai. She's the best. She is one of, if not the best, women's wrestlers in all of WWE. On any given night, if you give me a main event women's match and I need to be 100% confident it is going to be a banger and a half, I will take Io Shirai. English is not her first language, so the promos are going to be interesting, but she's very intense. If I can take one person from WWE who's going to be able to carry with a program with Britt, who's really good at promos, have a banger of a match, it's Io Shirai.
I mean, Hikaru Shida is English isn't her first language too, and I remember that being all right.
No, it's literally only a problem if the head of your company only likes white people who speak English. That's literally the only time it's a problem.
No, I mean, there's so many women too. Io Shirai was someone who came to my mind too, and you guys have heard me all say before, Charlotte Flair. And the other person who popped to my head was, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting her name right now? Oh god, I'm gonna be in trouble. She's pregnant, NXT, she's pregnant, and she's married to Johnny
Candice LeRae.
Candice LeRae, duh. The Way.
Oh, good one.
Right, I would love to watch that match.
Really good one, yes.
I think she would be a great signing for AEW
she
as
would.
well. A lot of these women could come over here and really buff up this women's division, not necessarily just like star power, but really some people who, like you said, Io Shirai and Candice LeRae too, just some ring generals to teach your, green people like Jade Cargill and, I don't know, even your Ty Contis and Jades too, just the ropes a little bit more. I think, you get your Bobby Fishes essentially over there in the women's division.
They did that a lot with their men's division.
Yeah.
Like, that was part of the point of Chris Jericho coming over. That's part of the point
Cage.
of Jon Moxley, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson. You don't hear a lot about that for the women's division, and I think that's part of a few reasons why the women's division feels behind the men's. You don't have a lot of those people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and like we said, I just rattled off a few just off the top of my head. I keep saying, guys, imagine if Charlotte Flair went to AEW.
I was just about to say.
I'm
just waiting for Charlotte. because when you guys were talking about like an opponent for Britt, like my mind immediately in ring wise, like wrestling match wise, I'd love to see like a Sasha Banks and Britt Baker, like
Bayley,
wrestling
true.
match wise.
Yep.
And of course Bayley, especially heel Bayley with what she's been doing on the
Bayley'd be
mic.
so
But
good.
yeah, like especially this latest incarnation of Bayley.
Uh-huh.
But I think, and a lot of people, I'm trying to remain PG, but a lot of people give crap to Charlotte being on the like robotic on the mic and everything. And yeah, but this latest run since she's made her return, like she's not given a you know what, and especially everything that's gone on lately, like if she's unleashed and she's coming to, for instance, AEW as Ashley Flair or whatever, like, dude, like imagine like just the range like she'll have, because there's just something in her now. I just feel like it's just waiting to just like explode, and regardless if she's right or wrong and whatever the drama and situation is, I don't really care. But just like seeing that version of her just free, I think would be so fun to see in AEW. And then, of course, Becky Lynch, too. But I think match-wise, it may not be up to par as some of the other contenders up there. But I think, like, on the mic-wise, it would be fun to have, like, a Britt versus, like, Becky on the stick and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. All I will say is I don't think we've even seen what Charlotte Flair is capable of yet.
No.
I honestly don't even think we have seen Charlotte Flair unleashed yet. Fun fact, she's actually only 35 years old. So we still got,
Charlotte?
I think from what I hear, 35 is the prime years as a professional wrestler. I don't know when her contract is up at all either, but I mean,
Tell WWE.
If that day happened, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't need Becky Lynch in AEW. I think it would be a major signing. Don't get me wrong, but I think Charlotte Flair for just there's nobody who has the natural ability in the ring. No woman ever. Even I think Serena Deeb is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, period, man or woman. But just the natural athletic ability in the ring, like Charlotte Flair, I think she could really, really, really elevate that division in ring as well. So you guys would never hear the end of it. I would just be running up and down. I'll get the DMD tattoo if that ever happened, man.
Yeah.
We would never hear the end of it. Yeah, no.
That's what he takes from that whole thing.
It would be a lot of video clips of stuff Charlotte Flair did in GIF form that would go to both of us in continuous text messages. Like,
I'm not even going to disagree. Not even going to disagree. Could you imagine her making fun of the DMD thing? Oh, I'm picturing the feud already, guys. I want it. Like Edge always says, give it to me. I want it.
Right.
Wow. I feel so bad for her that it's not going to happen for at least a very long time. Thing about Charlotte that's kind of cool is that she's maybe the most talented physically and or athletically woman that's ever been, at least in WWE. But she's only ever been like part of a WWE system. She's not one of these people that like came up through a bunch of different indies and did a bunch of different styles. She learned WWE stuff from WWE people. So if she goes out to an AEW or does indies first, something, she's going to get a lot better because she's going to learn different stuff and it's not always going to look like a WWE TV match. So that would be a lot of fun. Her personality would translate well to AEW. I don't think Becky's would. Yeah, Charlotte would be great if you let her do different stuff too.
Yeah, I always say that too, and I think we talked about this before. The Iconics were wonderful and hilarious and super underutilized, but I honestly think their humor worked well because it was in WWE. I don't think it would have worked as well in like an AEW, so I'm happy they're the inspiration now in Impact Wrestling, obviously, but I feel the same way about Becky Lynch. That Becky Lynch character who, you know, goes against the grain like that. Imagine if Bryan Danielson came into AEW as the Daniel Bryan of like 2015, fighting against the Tide or whatever, or CM Punk even came in. Like, it just doesn't work. The character doesn't work.
No, the character doesn't translate, and the character's in a different part of their career. There's no way to bring Becky Lynch to AEW and be a big deal unless she's doing the exact same character, not now, but when she was the Man. And I don't think the Man works as well if people know it's just a copy, and I don't think the Man works as well for AEW if it's not an AEW person.
Yeah, I'll believe it if I see it. I guess the only other question, if you guys know off the top of my head, has there been any other WWE wrestlers who wrestled in WWE, let me put it that way, or excuse me, sports entertainers who wrestled in WWE,
Thank you.
who are fully homegrown, like your Charlotte Flairs, who have gone over to AEW, who didn't ever wrestle in any indies pre-WWE.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to
Who
think
are
about
already in
Miro. Did
AEW
Miro?
now?
Huh? What'd you say, Ashley? Sorry.
No, who's already in AEW now?
Yeah, who's already
On the
gone over to
roster?
AEW. No.
Yeah, besides Miro?
I don't know if Miro
I'm trying to think
did.
who they have. I think that's
Yeah, I
predominantly...
feel like there's somebody obvious I'm missing.
Yeah, Miro wrestled in some developmental territories over here, and especially in some in Bulgaria. It looks like.
Yeah, I can't give you anybody that only ever worked in WWE. The closest I could even get is like taking away the indies, and that would be like a Sting because it was only major companies. I can't think of anybody that was just a homegrown WWE product. I kind of think of Miro as that because he was kind of created by WWE and developed there, but I can't think of anybody.
Thinking about like if a Braun Strowman went to AEW, essentially, like I wonder what the transition would be
and
like
like
for
a
him.
Nia Jax would be under that umbrella
That
too.
would both be sick, dude. Get Braun and Nia in here now. Let's flip some
Zach,
trucks
I'm gonna kick
and
you out of this
interest
Skype
women,
call
dude.
so
Let's
quickly.
do it.
Stop putting it into the
Nia's
universe.
gonna be there. Nia's gonna be. I can see her standing in the tunnel. Wait for the next battle royal, the next Joker entry, or whatever it is. I just feel it. I feel it.
Real quick, Mimi gives me a lot of crap, deservedly, about her show being better and my show being bad. And I just, for the sake of the other women in that division, I mean this as a joke and genuinely, I hope they don't get in the ring with her. But if Nia Jax even once appears on your television show, Mimi, you will never hear the end of it. Ever once, ever.
Even in the crowd. Suddenly I'm
in the crowd.
I'm doing the rest of this AEW preview by myself all of a sudden. I didn't know that was the case. That was the schedule. But anyways, moving on to CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston. So I can't hear these two people talking about sending Braun freaking Strowman and Nia Jax into AEW. Guys, let me have one nice thing. One night we're on day 2.
We're trying to give you 2 nice things.
2 for the price of 1.
Oh
Ashley gets it. Why don't you get it?
Because I can't deal with it. Though, you know what I would love to see is Nia Jax versus Britt Baker again, just today. I also don't want to see that because I like Britt Baker and I want her to stay untouched in that sense. But I was trying to be a little bit nicer about it. But
I know that's why I said it.
But yes, they did have that match way back when, the squash match or whatever, and Britt Baker lost to Nia Jax. I'd like to see them run that back, like similar to what they did with Will Hobbs and Orange Cassidy. You guys remember that? And they just showed that on Rampage or something. Like they gave a play-by-play of like the 16-second match or whatever, and then now we got to see where Will Hobbs is today. I'd like to see something like that, but not if it was anybody else besides Nia Jax. Yeah, I'm uninterested.
I just see it. I can just picture it. I'm sorry.
Ashley, stop it.
I just picture it.
We're gonna get these women off the pre-show.
I thought you were
one
gonna
Nia
say,
Jax at a time.
I thought you were gonna say we're gonna get these hands. God damn it.
Either way.
I'll take my whole version of Nia Jax and AEW. I will give you guys that because that was one of the greatest things to happen on my television.
AEW better watch its trucks. Braun Strowman's coming.
If there's no choo-choo train
Big
noise,
ol'
I'm
flipple.
uninterested.
Mm-hmm.
He comes with a choo-choo train noise. The Joker card comes out and all we hear is choo-choo. Sorry, all right.
The silence that would befall that arena.
Befall. All right, well, the next match that's going to befall us on Full Gear is CM Punk, Eddie Kingston. Kind of came out of nowhere. Probably one of the greatest segments on Rampage yet. And then we had that incredible promo back and forth again. Zach, I'll throw it over to you. Who do you think's coming out with the win here? And what do you think? CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston, is it everything you thought it would live up to be?
If 100% was what I wanted it to be, it's like 90-95.
Okay.
Only because I saw the Eddie Kingston 10 out of 10 emotion on the microphone, but I didn't hear the CM Punk 100% on the microphone. For me, I love the feud and I love the promos. I don't really know who CM Punk is as a character as much as I did like when he was in WWE, and that's a good thing. That means he's changing. It just means I don't have a feel for it yet. So it's hard for me to connect as well as Eddie Kingston, who on day one, promo one, I understood everything I needed to understand. This is the match I'm probably looking forward to most out of all of them because CM Punk is excellent in the ring. That's not necessarily Eddie Kingston's strong point, but he will make it look like a fight, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Who wins? Feels like it would obviously be CM Punk. I wouldn't think Eddie Kingston would be his first loss, but Eddie, the character, is so strong that I feel more strongly than anybody else here. He can afford this loss with no skin off his back. So CM Punk wins.
What do you think, Ashley?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said there, Zach. I don't see this being Punk's first loss here. The thing that I'm questioning the most going into this match more than the outcome is the attire that Punk is going to go in as. Is he going to be wearing the trunks, the long board, as he likes to call it? And what I personally hope for, and this is a callback to his Ring of Honor days since they both went there, wear the basketball shorts. You know, like, I don't know if you guys seen footage of Punk back in the day, like with the blonde hair, but he was wearing like basketball shorts, of course, with like his boots and everything that went up to his knees, knee pads, all that good stuff. But if this is going to be a fight, since they obviously can't stand each other and they took it to a whole nother like personal level and can't be in the parking lot together without, you know, breaking out in a brawl, I just want to see that version of Punk. Like I don't know why, like, that's like one of the first things I thought of after seeing them break out on Dynamite, but to me it's obvious, especially because Eddie Kingston himself said it's not really about winning or losing here for him. I just think that kind of, I mean, if you had any doubt, I think that just kind of like solidified it there, who's going to win. But I think that's kind of what makes it cool. And like, the fact that, first of all, they had, a 2-week build for this, maybe 4 shows total. I don't know how, maybe a little bit more than that. But that in and of itself is amazing. There's really no story. It started off with CM Punk getting interrupted, which I thought was kind of absurd to begin with. I was like, come on, dude. Like, everyone gets interrupted. It's wrestling, right? But
how else are you supposed to start a feud, Ashley?
Right. Well, yeah, true.
Thank you.
True, you're right, touche. But
don't even watch it.
Yeah, it just like the direction they took it after that, like it's just like it just shows like how awesome these guys are and like the art of like the promo itself. But yeah, like of course Punk is winning here, but man, like if nothing else too, like it kind of showed the love that the fans have for Eddie too, that they're still sticking up for Eddie no matter like who he's against, regardless of it being Punk. Like, because Punk got some boos throughout the promo itself, so. I'm just here for the fight itself, man. Like, I'm just here for the knockdown brawl.
Dude, it's going to be so fun. Eddie Kingston pretty quickly for me went from this dude's interesting, because his promo on Cody Rhodes is the first time I had seen him, I think.
Same. Yeah, same.
And he went very quickly from, oh, this guy's interesting, to like, I don't even care what this dude's record is. I understand it matters in AEW, but I don't even care. I want to watch this dude near or in main event segments forever. He's made himself like one of the most irreplaceable people in AEW after they signed Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. Like some of their talent that was already there felt a little bit lesser than when those two came in. Eddie's only gotten more important for me, and I think that's cool. I could not imagine it mattering less if he loses, so he's gonna lose.
Yeah, no, I agree with that with both of you. I just let CM Punk wear the trunks, guys. Just let him wear the trunks. Just no tights, no shirt. Just let the man wear the trunks. He looks the best in them. I don't know if he's insecure. What's going on? I hate those stupid freaking tights. They look like yoga pants.
Well, apparently last time at All Out, he asked Anna Jay if she thought he should wear the long boys, as he calls it, or the trunks, and she said the long boys, so that's why he went with that. Or whatever
Anna
last
Jay,
time he
I hope you lose in your match in the TBS tournament title, and
That's so aggressive.
Yeah, so are those
that
stupid
took a turn.
tights. The long boys. They're not the long boys.
God, I hope he wears the long boys.
I don't know if it's like the first person he asks, and like that answer he goes with, but he said it's not up to him. So we need more clarity. Like the next interview, they need to stop with these like AEW questions. We need to get down to the brass tacks.
Exactly.
Who determines this attire?
Just direct message me on Twitter, CM Punk, and I will tell you to wear the tights.
Yes. We need answers. Anyway.
We are journalists.
I'm going to put a
Yes.
poll up if he wears those super
I was
tights
just
again.
about to say a poll. I was just about to say we should do a poll.
God, I can't wait to vote for Long Boys.
Anyways, what were we talking
Basketball
about?
shorts.
The match. Yes. In a 2-week build, they managed to make something as exciting as the main event. That was a 2-year build, and I say that without a doubt. These two guys are incredible. Eddie Kingston, put the strap on him. Like, just do it at this point. You know what I mean? The guy is,
Please.
and I think is better on the mic than in ring, but he's so real. That is his best quality. On the mic and in the ring, he's just real. Everything comes off. He doesn't feel polished. He's like, for lack of a better term, he's raw, and I think that's what's so impressive. And it's been cool to watch CM Punk kind of like slowly but surely come back into that. And Zach, you mentioned something about like not exactly knowing his character. I think that's the point of all this, and I think they shake hands at the end of it. I think CM Punk and Eddie Kingston both do the prick
one
thing,
of those.
and then I think they shake hands. Here's my question for you guys, though. How do you think Eddie Kingston loses? If we're all in agreement, CM Punk wins. If he wears the tights, I hope he loses. No, I'm kidding. But if he wears the tights, I'm still going to be upset. But how do we think, besides being choked by the tights, do we think Eddie Kingston loses? Does he do another pass out? Does he tap out? Does he get pinned? I assume he gets pinned with a GTS. I assume it's simple as that.
I think it's an absolute knockdown, drag out fight, and Eddie gets a go to sleep. He gets a long boy knee right under the chin, and he's finally put down. Yeah, that Eddie Kingston feels like the kind of guy that you have to give a warrior's death. You're not just gonna make him pass out. You're not gonna stop him. You better kill me. And I think that'll be everything I want from it. And I would think that would be the mentality going forward.
Yeah, I could see him even kicking out maybe of 1 or 2 GTSs just throughout the night, especially like in the heat towards the end of the match itself. Because I think this is probably going to go at least like 15, 18 minutes itself. So, and I one correction there, Zach. Instead of the long boy GTS, I think it's going to be the basketball short
You guys are the worst.
GTS.
1 second. Mimi, real quick. Complete hypothetical. I want you to imagine a wrestler. For example, let's use CM Punk because he was on the top of my mind. You know what he's supposed to look like. Would it bother you more if you hear Cult of Personality and you see the Long Boys? Or if he was just wearing the shorts Ashley's describing? Which one would make you clench your teeth harder?
I think the Long Boys. I'm so sick of the Long Boys. They look like Karen yoga pants. Don't they? Like the fabric of them?
And who would you want to wrestle less than a Karen that's upset?
Fair enough.
Exactly, dude.
I think,
exactly.
I'm so for the trunks. I'll take a Walter chop just for the trunks, just if he sticks with the chunks. Like that is how important it is to me. I know people feel like it's like kind of a nostalgia act, to go back and wear the exact same thing or whatever. But okay, Bret Hart comes back in the ring, right? Wrestles one more time. Let's see, how old is Bret Hart? Just for S's and G's. I feel like we're supposed to know that stuff. If you get anything out of these podcasts, you get how old people are. He's 64 years old. 54. Okay.
Oh.
Sting is 64 essentially too, right? So Bret Hart comes back to wrestle another match. And the man doesn't wear pink. It feels wrong, doesn't it?
It's almost like against the law.
I'm picturing him in black and yellow, and I hate it.
So where is this full gear again? Is it where's Minneapolis? Minneapolis. Okay, I don't know why I can't say that. I'm from America. I know where that is.
You're throwing like an extra N in the middle.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, you need to get rid of that third N. It's just,
Minneapolis. Minneapolis.
Nope.
Okay, so it's in Minneapolis.
Nailed it.
If CM Punk wears the trunks, the tights, I will walk to Minneapolis and cut them into trunks myself. That is how irritated I am about this whole thing. It just doesn't work.
Like
he
1
looks
second.
old.
Just stop the match.
Just stop the match. Pause. I want Bryce Ransberg to stop the match. Tell him stop. Go back. Change into your trunks. Come out here. This is
No, they'll
pay-per-view.
keep doing the match. Just this mysterious, pissed off woman will slide into the ring and start trying to cut a man short.
Guys, we have 7.5 hours to fill for this pay-per-view. Take your time. Go back, Punk, and switch it up. All right, let's move on because we don't have 7.5 hours to fill on this podcast. Look at that. And move on to the Eliminator Tournament final, which is Bryan Danielson versus Miro. Another hard one to call. I'm just going to throw it out there, guys. I think it's going to be Bryan Danielson. But I've heard a lot of people saying Miro, especially if Hangman Page is going to win. So, Ashley, I'm going to throw this one over to you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going Miro. I'm going Miro. And part of me would really be curious to just find out one day what the initial plans were, since obviously everything changed. Like if it was the initial plans would have Mox go over or what. But I just feel like this is a second coming for Miro. I mean, his God cannot fail him. His God put him in this tournament and give him the second chance. Yes, for a reason, right? And it's either Miro's neck or Bryan's, and you know who's going to lose that. So I don't think Miro loses this. I fear for Miro's God if he loses. First off, I think that's the most important thing, if nothing else. But I just think that I think that Miro is going to be perfect because of who I envision winning the main event. I just think Miro is the perfect person to win this tournament, and Bryan's not going to be hurt losing a match. I think if nothing else, he's undefeated at this point besides the count out or the timeout victory or time limit draw that they had rather with him and Omega. But it'd be kind of nice to have him lose a match too, so there's never a focus on him being undefeated or anything like that. So that's not even ever a thought. But I don't know. I don't think it's detrimental to Bryan if he loses. Yeah, it's gonna suck, and I'd love to see Bryan win, but I don't think he needs to here. I think he'll just be happy to go back on Wednesday night on Dynamite, opening the show, wrestling whoever else is there. So I'm going Miro here.
What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, Miro winning is such a better story. Bryan Danielson has been really, really, really good for AEW. Probably the best just in-ring wrestler I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. He came in, he had his feud with Kenny Omega. It was an excellent match. AEW doesn't strike me as the kind of place that would have Bryan Danielson win because he's a newer, bigger name. I think if he wins, then he faces Adam Page. I would doubt that Bryan Danielson would beat Hangman Page or whoever holds the title. But I think Miro is a better story. The last time I was on this show, we were talking about the possibility of Eddie Kingston being the one that beats Miro for that TNT title. And things have changed very quickly. I think Miro's in a little bit of a limbo at the moment since losing that title. And I think a main event program with the AEW champion would be a great start for him. I don't know. I'm certainly not sure who's going to win, but Miro would be a way better story, and I trust AEW way more to go with a better story. So, yeah, I'm going to agree with Ashley. It's Miro.
All right. I don't know. I just can't see. I totally agree with you guys. I just kind of can't see Bryan Danielson taking a loss right now. But what I do think is going to happen is these two guys are going to be wrestling. We're going to get towards the end of the match. And then, out of nowhere, out of one of the tunnels, comes the Gun Club and Paul White in a pull-apart brawl. Can't stop them. The feud is finally being paid off. They roll into the ring. Paul White rolls over Bryan Danielson. And if that's how Miro's going to win, that's the only way it's going to happen. Because otherwise, you just can't pin Bryan Danielson. And then we get the payoff for this other amazing feud I've been thinking about every night before I go to bed. Just so you guys know, the Gun Club's still undefeated.
Really good booking, dude.
Still
I think
undefeated.
that's the takeaway of this show right there.
There you go.
We can just stop.
We do have one more match to talk about, but we can skip it if you guys want.
That's perfect, because this should be the main event if that's how we're ending it, dude.
Yeah.
It does feel like, though, that, Bryan Danielson's character, Bryan Danielson said, I want to come in here and I basically want to fight people. I want to kick their heads in. He didn't say anything about, I'm going to be the world champion right away, all that. And also, Bryan Danielson seems like the kind of guy that if you put him in a match with the AEW champion and you put him in this eliminator tournament, Bryan seems like the kind of guy that wouldn't care if he didn't win and also probably doesn't want to win. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that always needs to be right near the main event. I think he's much more interested in working with a bunch of different people, and I think he has a better chance to do that if he loses. I'd be willing to bet you he doesn't really want to win, so I don't see any reason to have him do so.
No, I hear that, and I thought that too. I don't think we're ever going to see Bryan Danielson AEW World Champion. I would love to see a TNT World Champion Bryan Danielson.
Absolutely.
And then see that title defended, but I don't think that's until maybe 1 or 2 years down the line. I think he's about 44 years old, if I'm remembering off the top of my head. I didn't even look that one up, guys, I promise. Yeah, so you know what? You guys are slowly convincing me, but just to be different, I'm going to stick with my pick. And as we slowly but surely start to wrap things up, I guess this plays in perfectly to that. The main event, the match we've all been waiting for so long now. Obviously, Hangman Page had the baby, a bunch of stuff went on, but here we are, finally. Saturday it's happening, Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega, and I can't wait to watch every promo, every Road to, every Tony Schiavone doing whatever just to get to this, because this has been so magnificently built. Ashley, I'm throwing it over to you. Who's winning? And is there going to be a possible kick out of a possible one-winged angel?
That part I'm a little unsure of still, because that I'm I have so many variables to this whole cluster thing. So, and first of all, I looked it up. Bryan Danielson is apparently only 40 years old. So that's interesting. I thought he was, I thought he was
with actual facts and figures.
Well, no, because I was thinking I was thinking that sounds about right. 44, 45. I was like, wow, he's only 40. Like, that's actually surprising, but actually made me feel a little bit old too. But anyway,
he's an old 40 though. He's a banged up 40.
Yeah, true. So with this, I think so. If this was WWE, I think it'd be a no-brainer that Kenny would win just because. So the fact that this is AEW, and that's not even like a negative thing, like, 'cause I don't know, I wouldn't even be mad if Kenny wins here for a lot of reasons, but I see it could be happening of like two different ways, right? If Kenny were to win, I would just think that, first of all, the reaction of the people there in Minneapolis, I think that would just be amazing, especially with Don Callis back. But I think that them bringing Callis back already on Dynamite kind of foreshadows Hangman winning, because I think that if you were going to have a surprise return of Callis, you would want to hold that off until the actual pay-per-view to have it actually mean something and be detrimental, hopefully. And so since they've already kind of let that come back, that Callis is back, Hangman's not going to be caught off guard. Like, he's going to be even more aware to expect Callis at this point. So I think that's kind of another reason to kind of lean more towards Page. And I kind of regret moving down here at this time, because I obviously lived in Virginia, and if I still lived there, I would without a doubt be going to the show on Wednesday, the Dynamite show. So part of me would just love to see, as evil as this is, Hangman lose at Full Gear, and just to see the reaction that Kenny would get going into Virginia on Dynamite, and just have Omega just open the show and just have it. I'm not going to say it's like Chicago level or anything like that, but the way it's been hyped up, right, and everything, I think that'd be so fun to see. But with Tony Khan being Tony Khan, that's not going to happen. And for so many reasons why I think Kenny could and maybe should retain, just to maybe build a little bit more, because I think there's so many other opponents that Kenny could face being champion. And if this perfect storm with Paige wasn't happening, I think it'd be a no-brainer too. But with the bill for the 2 years, and like kind of like the poetic justice how it's playing out with him being at the Full Gear pay-per-view, and I'm pretty sure that he like named that pay-per-view when they were coming up with like the pay-per-view names. Like, I think I read that somewhere that he like threw that Full Gear name out there. So I think it'd be so cool to see him win at Full Gear, and then literally the first Dynamite be in his hometown, and to have his like celebration ceremony there. I just think that it's like kind of like a beautiful story, and you kind of have to just let it play out, regardless of him having him as the champion plays out itself and how strong that may be. But I think Tony Khan, being as nice of a guy Tony Khan is, Hangman wins. It's like a no-brainer. What about you guys?
No, I didn't even think about that. Before I throw it over to you, Zach, I do want to quickly throw this out there. Possible spoiler alert, by the way. As I'm scrolling through the roster page here on AEW, and I got to Bryan Danielson, it's not on the rankings, but if you look at the roster page, it says that he is 7-1-1, meaning that he has lost one match. So you guys might be right.
7-1.
Yeah, they might have just jumped the gun on that and not expected some weirdo to be on Thursday night on the roster page, just scrolling up and down. I don't know, but
Weird.
I mean, his singles it says 7-0-1, but when you look at his 2021 overall and his career overall, it says 7-1-1. So you guys might be right about the Miro thing, and the more I think about it, the more I'm falling towards that. But I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with D-Bry, or Bry D. I don't like it as much.
It's worse.
Yeah, it sounds way worse. But I did just quickly want to throw that out there. Anyways, on to way more important things than the tech abilities of AEW's webpage. Zach, what do you think about the Full Gear 2-year built main event?
Hey, real quick, unrelated note, Mimi, if you're Britt Baker, Ashley, if you are Tony Schiavone, that would mean for these purposes, I also need to be somebody. If I could, if it's sticking with an announcer theme, I would like to be Excalibur, although I am not picky. I just don't want to be JR. So if you guys want to kind of brainstorm amongst yourselves who I can be, that would be cool. I just want to put a bug in your ear.
I would love to hear you at some point do your best Mark Henry impression for Rampage, maybe on a Rampage review show. I don't know, but we'll think about it. We'll talk and we'll get back to you.
Perfect. Thanks. That's all I wanted. It has been a 2-year build. The culmination of this story is Hangman Page beating Kenny Omega, and Ashley's absolutely right. Tony Khan's a very nice man. If this were WWE, Kenny would absolutely win, and it would have been in Hangman's hometown somehow. I'm also mad Ashley went first because her point was mine exactly, that there is a part of me that wants Kenny to win, and I wish that the next show were in Hangman's hometown, because the most fun I've ever had watching somebody do a promo is Roman Reigns, the Raw after he beat The Undertaker. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a crowd more upset.
It was like 7 minutes.
Yes, I've never seen a crowd more upset, but more quiet and more seething than on that night. And that's the closest I think would be able to get to it, because there would be such an anger that you didn't do the thing that we've all been waiting for so long. So if that happens, I'm gonna laugh and laugh, because it's the funniest thing that could happen, and it opens up some possibilities. It feels like it's time. Feels like Kenny's done just about every huge thing he's going to do with that title, save for the Adam Cole breakup that I think is going to take a while. And I think it's time to pay off the Hangman story, because if Hangman is at his lowest of lows, then gets with Kenny, then they go to their highest highs, then Hangman's down to his lowest lows again, then he comes all the way back up just to be at his lows again. We've just told the same story for the third time, and I don't know what you would get out of it. So Hangman probably has to win here, but boy, it would be pretty fun if Kenny won, man.
You guys are awful. Just awful. So cynical. I'm just going to go Hangman
You said that
Page.
if CM Punk wore the long boys, you were going to interrupt his match to cut his shorts.
Listen, but that is on principle. This
You
is just on...
stabbed a knife into the back of the Lucha Brothers, who did nothing but try and entertain you. That's what you've done so far.
Listen, I just want the best for their careers. Want
Clearly.
the best for their careers, and FYI, not to totally sidetrack this, I do want to quickly throw out that Chavo Guerrero is still on the active wrestlers page on the roster as well. So
Thank God. What's his record?
0-0.
Only way to go is up, baby. Fresh start.
All right, so maybe that plays into this main event. Maybe it's the lore of Chavo Guerrero Jr. that we just have been missing this entire time. I love what you guys said. All I will say is that for some reason, if Kenny Omega does win, I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does happen, I have so much stinking trust in this company, when at least in regards to booking the men's division, and specifically the men's singles division. I believe that there's a plan that I just can't foresee. What did Zach say before? I believe there's a plan that's going to befallen on us that I just cannot foresee.
I said
Yes,
that something would befall something. I used the word correctly. I refuse to be made fun of.
And, however, I'm with you guys. I think Hangman Page takes this. I don't think we get a kick out of the One-Winged Angel. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to save that.
It's a very special thing.
I think we get a reversal of it. I've loved the story of like the slowly but surely doubting the one-winged angel little by little, and there was a match.
I think it automatically goes negative stars. If so, I think that's how that works. It's automatically like a negative star ranking.
Yeah, it's an automatic
Someone kicks
trigger
out
for
of
the
it.
website. It does it by default.
It's like a thing with
It
a
is.
thing.
I think we're getting some New Japan guys in here really soon.
Oh, I can't wait, dude.
I know we all got to do our homework back on that. From what I understand, we all need to do a little bit more New Japan watching. But it was definitely a good introduction. They said Hiroshi Tanahashi about 15 times in the last week. So definitely we could tell that that's all going on. All right, before I let you guys go, I did say I was going to ask you this, so I'm going to ask you this because I think I promised an entire podcast on this and it just never happened. But TBS Championship. Who do you, let me ask you this, who do you want to actually win the title, and who do you think is actually going to win?
I'm trying to look up the tournament lineup, to be honest with you.
All right, I can go first if you guys want to look it up for now.
You go first, really quick.
If you guys have heard me before, you all know who I want to win because I wanted to wrestle every woman, even if it's similar to the TNT title. I want it every single week. Give me 2 women's matches. And give me Serena Deeb. Just give me Serena Deeb every week. I want her shirt. Yeah. She's got a shirt that's out right now that says the Professor of Professional Wrestling. Yeah. I want it.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh my gosh. I literally got so excited to watch all of those the Sheeta matches, all of that. I will watch Serena Deeb on Dark. That is how interested I am in her matches. Just the little nuances. I think there's no one better at the craft right now, maybe besides Bryan Danielson. So that's who I want to win. Sadly, I do not think that is going to happen. I don't know why, but it's just not going to happen, at least yet. I think we're going to get Jade Cargill, and I don't think it's a great idea. But I think it's going to be the way that we keep Jade Cargill out of the title picture with Britt Baker. So that is going to be my guess for now. And now I hope you're ready, Ashley. I'm throwing it back over to you.
I am ready now. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I am going to differ on this one with you as well, Mimi. I don't know what's going on in the universe, but I'm siding differently on this one. I'm going Ruby Soho just because I picture at that point Britt still being champion, and I don't think, again, Tony being Tony, and my perception at least of Tony, I don't think he's gonna want two or both of the women's champions being heels, quote unquote, because I still, and this is with my mindset still being it's gonna end up Britt versus Thunder Rosa after all this, because I think Jade is going to knock Rosa out of the tournament, and then that's going to free up Rosa, and then Britt's going to be free at that point as well. And I just see Ruby Soho. I just feel like Tony wants to kind of give Ruby Soho something, as easy as that is to say. I think that it's going to be like Ruby and Jade, and Ruby's going to win, but I think this is going to be one of like the rare rematches that we get, or like a feud coming out of this, because I could see like Jade being pissed off and wanting to, like challenge Ruby again, like for the actual, title at that point. So that's just kind of the way I see it playing out right now.
That's a good one.
Hey, thanks, man.
Hey, no problem, man. Here's the thing. You're both right. It kind of depends on what you want the TNT title to be. Do you want it to be featured the most that it would be if it doesn't change anything? Then it's Jade Cargill. She's going to get TV time for sure over almost every other woman in this whole thing. Do you want it to be on the newcomer who just had a good showing for herself and just in general is like really cool? Then Ruby Soho. If you want it on somebody established that can work with everybody, Serena Deeb is your correct answer.
Do it.
If you want an up-and-comer who you think the title can help make them,
the bunny.
A Jamie Hayter would be cool.
Oh, Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, or, there's no wrong answers.
Except that
or
answer.
like a Nia Jax, for example.
God, I hate it so much.
A mystery entry. Maybe someone gets knocked out
There's
backstage.
no stop it, you guys.
That would be the tournament starts.
You just see a punch, a fist.
And the last-minute replacement.
You just see the fist.
See, like,
someone like
medical,
Ruby getting knocked out.
Local
getting knocked out.
Local medical facility is just on her banner. That's her thing.
She hit
I
them
would
in the
love
car in the parking lot. She didn't mean to.
That's the most dangerous part of the arena is the parking lot. And
It's
NXT
even worse
knows.
than the apron, and that's the hardest part of the ring, dude.
Facts. All facts.
All jokes aside, we never encourage anybody to lose their jobs ever, unless they don't want to get vaccinated in a private company and are unsafe. But other than that, we don't ever want anybody to lose their jobs, and we wish the best for everybody's future endeavors, including Nia Jax. All right, Zach. Sorry, continue. That's WWE podcast trademark. I have to do that in case we get sued.
You did that so professionally, but you couldn't.
It's a disclaimer.
You still couldn't say Nia Jax without putting a little bit of Nia Jax in it.
I couldn't do
and
it.
I love that. I would almost love to see it on like a Jamie Hayter. I think that would be really cool.
Okay.
If I'm just going with who I want, I don't know who's actually going to win because it could be any of these people. But I'd love like a Jamie Hayter.
I like that choice. I would love that too. I think she needs more reps, in my opinion. First, I think she's got a lot of star power, but definitely a lot of potential there. I'm a fan of Jamie Hayter. The last thing I will say before we hop off here, guys, and I'll throw it over to you one more time before we end up here. I do want to quickly say that on this morning when I did the review show, I kept calling Chaos, the New Japan stable, obviously, Chaos Project. Including Serpentico. So I just want to quickly amend that, and I do realize that the two are two very different levels of stables. So just wanted to quickly throw that out there.
Minor differences.
Minor difference. Yes, Serpentico is obviously not in Chaos, but that obviously with Orange Cassidy, best friends, that seems like I said, there seems like there's going to be a lot of New Japan stuff. Slowly but surely, more and more are leaking into AEW, this Forbidden Door thing. So I'm definitely going to be doing a little bit more studying up, and I recommend some other people do as well. If anybody needs any recommendations of a lot of matches to watch, I'm more versed than I'd like to admit, I think. I'm more versed than I'd like to admit, so you can definitely tweet me on a tweeter, or you can actually tweet someone who knows what the heck they're talking about. But I'm at Mimi Burris. Zach, before we sign off, would you like to tell everybody where they can follow you on Twitter with that unfortunate Twitter handle? And any last remarks about Full Gear?
Wow. You know what? I'm glad it's on a recording because this is how you treat me all the time, and I'm glad people are going to hear it, dude. You're so mad that I fit the brand perfectly and you don't, and you can't change it because you know you'll be copying me. It's embarrassing for you. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at ZachNXT. It's at ZACHNXT. Also, if you're interested on the same feed you're listening to this excellent wrestling show, come listen to me talk about a much worse one and listen to a man slowly lose his mind but have a good time while doing it. I'm here every week.
And what about you, Ashley?
Very well. I'm so sorry, Zach. Maybe there's an NXT 3.0 in the future. But you can follow
Maybe,
me
but everything's going really good, so I don't know why you'd apologize. I'm having a really great time.
That's true. I mean, never mind. There's a whole other story. But yes, feel free to follow me on Twitter at ASHMANNS. Again, I have no idea why I threw an S on my last name. There's really no S in my last name. I don't know why. Someone asked me that the other day.
Mimi has a problem with mine, but not yours. But whatever.
Well, yeah, I meant mine is fraudulent. My whole thing is a fraud. But yeah,
interesting.
There. But real quick, guys, do you think that we get Bray or Wyndham Rotunda?
God, no.
Any surprises?
Oh, you didn't hear about the movie?
I heard about the movie, but there's still, some people were saying that he had already filmed that, or the schedule isn't that bad, or there's still time and all that mumbo jumbo.
It's gonna be a romantic
some people are saying
comedy.
There's still, some people said there's still opportunity that he may be able to do both.
I hope not. All I will say is I hope not. You guys know my views. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with Wyndham Rotunda, and I always say, just like we put in the disclaimer, I want everybody to be happy and have jobs and everything. I don't believe that in ring, Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, anything, Husky Harris is all elite. I just don't think, and I don't necessarily think he has the potential to be all elite too, and I think that's the big difference. So you see a lot of wrestlers in AEW right now who just don't cut it necessarily in the ring yet, but definitely have a lot more potential and a lot more growth to go with. I think if you put, I compare Wyndham Rotunda in the ring similar to Rebel's abilities in the ring. And that's how I feel about his in-ring
Oh,
wrestling.
wow.
So, if he wants to tell stories and all that stuff, I think that's great. I just don't necessarily think it belongs in a professional wrestling ring. And if it does, it belongs in the undead realm of Impact Wrestling. So, those are my thoughts. And which is not even a slight. I think if Impact wants to go there, I don't think he'll wrestle for Impact, though, until his what he believes his financial value is way diminished in a couple of years or so. I have a feeling, he's the hot new name right now, but I don't know, guys. I hope it doesn't happen. I think you just had Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, and Ruby Soho all debut and all out. And then your next pay-per-view, it's going to be Wyndham Rotunda who comes out.
Oh.
I'm harsh on Bray Wyatt. I was never a Bray Wyatt person. I like the Colt thing. I like the Colt thing. What do you think, Zach, though?
I mean, okay. Everything you said is true, but I don't know why I'm such a Bray Wyatt guy. I think he's somewhere in between a genius and, the worst thing ever. I think he has a lot of stoned ideas or shower ideas, but I think that works really well in wrestling. And I think he's really good at coming up with characters. He's really good at writing. He's really good at production. And I almost wish he would come to AEW, but in a capacity where he's not a full-time wrestler, because that's never been his strong suit, but that he can help people. We have a lot of people that will help younger talent with like matches and promos, but I think he might be one of the best people to learn from in terms of creating, modifying, having a backstory for a character. I irrationally love and will always love Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, whatever. So I want to see him everywhere, but I can absolutely understand why you wouldn't want that in AEW, because it doesn't fit. He's one of my favorites. Like Adam Cole is, Kevin Owens is. Those are two people that are going to be on AEW. I could see Bray Wyatt not being. And I'm okay with that, but I think he could help in a different capacity than maybe everybody thinks.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think if we get any debuts, I think we get a Kota Ibushi. I think we get a Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think a Kazuchika Okada. We get some big name. Even I think we got more of a chance of getting a Jay White than we do a Wyndham Rotunda, and I would be much happier about it as well. But again, I could be totally wrong, and and I also I'm always happy to be proven wrong. If Wyndham Rotunda joins AEW and just kills it, fine. If he comes in and it's Dark Order Part 2, I'm uninterested.
I'm all set on that.
Yeah, I don't need that in my life.
No, I'm good, man.
What do you think, Ashley? Are you looking forward to it? Is that something you want?
I think I'm kind of a happy medium maybe between you guys. I kind of agree with both of you. I think he's probably better suited in the Hollywood aspect and realm where he can just be truly creative and just free to do whatever is inside of his brain. And I think now with the notoriety that he's received, he's probably in a better position now to do that than ever. So I think he should probably focus on that if that's more of the aspect and the route that he wants to take. Because kind of like what you were saying there too, Zach, I wouldn't hate seeing him in AEW. I would love it because he would be employed and all that good stuff, but I don't necessarily picture him in AEW. I don't know what he would look like in AEW. I'm not one to say he wouldn't fit because I don't know what version of himself he would be. I don't really know what to expect. If we get another Fiend or if we get a cult leader version of Bray Wyatt or a complete, obviously we wouldn't get those in particular, but what would he be that? I think that's kind of what I struggle with. I've always been a fan of his. I was a big fan of the Fiend character itself. I think that they overexposed him and they did his character so many injustices. And I think he could have gone on not necessarily to be the Undertaker type, but to be a lesser version of it. But he needs to be protected, right? For in-ring purposes and stuff like that. But I don't know if he's not going to do behind the scenes stuff. I don't know if AEW. I don't know. I don't know if AEW is the place for him. But I would be very curious to see if he had free reins creative wise, like what he would be. I don't want to say no without seeing it first type of thing. And it could be horrible, you know, like I maybe give him a year, right? See what he's year, 2 years to see what version he's going to be, and then go from there. But if you think about it, like for him and in his mind, like you would think that WWE would be the ideal and the perfect place for him. As crazy as that sounds, maybe that doesn't make sense, but like just with you look at the Undertaker type, right? Like if with the theatrics and everything like that, like he's kind of the perfect wrestler, or the perfect character rather, for a WWE. So I don't know, that's why I'm kind of perplexed to even picture him anywhere else at this point.
It's tricky. WWE should have been perfect for him, and if WWE was actually what like WWE's idea of themselves was, I think that'd be absolutely true.
If they were then like 15 years ago.
Exactly.
Years ago,
like if they were actually, we make movies, I think that would have worked perfect. But I think he came up with a really, really good idea, and as soon as WWE had to do something with it, it got ruined. So I almost feel like it's a great place to be a really big star that's not bigger than the company, because that's not what they want. And they want to come up with an idea at least with you, if not for you. They don't want you to come to them with a fully realized idea.
Like The Undertaker.
Like their favorite part about The Undertaker is that they found this real loyal dude, and The Undertaker is a WWE creation. The Fiend wasn't a WWE creation. It was a Wyndham Rotunda creation. That would be the part that I'm most excited about if he were to come to AEW, to see what he would do, because since he was released to now, I bet he's come up with a lot of fun ideas. So I think when I'm thinking of him, I'm thinking of the Cult Leader, or I'm thinking of the Fiend, neither of which fit in AEW. But if I give Wyndham Rotunda a bunch of time at home, I bet he comes up with a gimmick that works really well with AEW. That would be the part I'd be really excited to see.
Exactly. Yep, and that's what I was saying, just to wrap that up. Yeah, like, just, I don't not want to see it because I don't know what to expect, and that's the thing. Like, I think I'm not clamoring for it at this point, because I want him, if he's going to take this Hollywood route, to go crazy with that, because I think that could be so intriguing and fascinating in its own right. But if he's going to stick with wrestling, like, I don't know what to expect, and I don't know if Impact would necessarily be better with the freedom that they give their wrestlers over there too, and especially with what we've seen with like the Hardys and their own different realms and stuff like that. But I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. I part of me just can't picture him in AEW, and part of me is like, once I see him, I'll be like, oh, how would I ever doubt this?
Ashley and I are open to it, Mimi.
Listen, as you guys were talking, the only thing I could picture is like Glenn Jacobs is All Elite for some reason. How
dare you? How dare you, dude? Kane could never, dude.
No, not Kane. Like Mayor Glenn Jacobs. That's his new gimmick. He comes in as just like the mayor. He's just the mayor.
Glenn Jacobs. Funny. He will, and if you don't think I will send Glenn Jacobs, the mayor with questionable views about pandemics, with Braun Strowman and Nia Jax, you haven't gotten acquainted with me very well. I'll send him. Keep up with your jokes, dude.
I think I'd rather Glenn Jacobs. No, I agree with you guys. I mean, the only thought I have is, I'm sure you guys heard the reports, and this is not necessarily a Bray Wyatt podcast, but who gives a crap at this point? Here we are, an hour and 45 minutes into it. But it now is. But the reports about Vince McMahon and Bray Wyatt, like Vince McMahon just not liking Bray Wyatt, like them not getting along after a while and all this stuff, and probably because, from what I understand, Vince McMahon is not a very sane human being, and at least at portions. The guy's also a genius in a lot of ways as well. I'll give him the credit he deserves, but he makes money despite himself at this point. Let me put it that way.
Did you guys, when you guys were kids or when you were in school, did you ever have a friend or like somebody that you were cool with for a long time, and then all of a sudden, for no reason, they either stopped talking to you or were mad at you, and you never got a reason for it? That ever happened to you guys?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's Vince. Like, Vince will think you are the best thing ever. There's a clip of Keith Lee after the Royal Rumble, and Vince is saying,
I saw that video. Broke my heart.
Yes, You have every tool. You just need to make me believe. You talk well, you wrestle well, everything's good. He debuts on the main roster. He beats Randy Orton. They don't know what to do with him. They change his music to a terrible version. They change his attire. They change the way he does promos, does matches. Imagine that he's not the same Keith Lee, and for some reason, somewhere in there, Vince stopped liking him. Vince liked Ethan Carter III so much, he brought him up to the main roster, and then on day one decided, nope, don't like him today. The difference is, when an old person doesn't like you, you can go about your day. But if the old person's insane and is the head of a company still, they're just not. Nothing's going to happen. So, yeah, he probably got bored with him. It's kind of what Vince does always. It's just like a matter of when.
Yeah, the guy wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. I mean, we've definitely seen that with Braun Strowman, too. It's kind of like, it's as if, like, somebody, like, so it's as if my fiance did my makeup and then said, you look ugly. Well, you put my makeup on. You know what I mean? You made me look like this. You can't.
But the thing, Mimi, is that you didn't apply yourself and you didn't believe in the makeup enough, and you never had what it took to be a real makeup star. So it's not that I put the makeup on wrong. It's not that I used eyeshadow as foundation. It's that your face didn't believe in it enough.
Exactly. My face without the makeup was fine. You know what I mean? Without the stupid music and the leotard, it was fine. But yes, 100%. So, but with all that being said, though, I will say that to wrap it around, we've known in the history of professional wrestling, I guess, it's just like any person who has too much power is never a good thing, right? So, your Vince Russo's, you know, WCW becomes what WCW was because he didn't have the Vince McMahon filter. Chris Jericho is what Chris Jericho is in AEW because he probably has a lot more say than he deserves. We get a trios match that we probably don't really need. It's probably going to bang, but we probably don't really need on Full Gear because the Young Bucks have a little extra say. Hulk Hogan in WCW, there's a million different examples to go to. Vince McMahon in WWE, period. However, I will say that I am genuinely curious. I want the shoot interview, guys. I want the shoot interview of Wyndham Rotunda before I see him in any wrestling company. More importantly, I want just like a court, like just give me like a Judge Judy trial. You know those things or whatever. I haven't watched one of those in so long, but like I used to be sick from school and that would be on TV. Give me Vince McMahon and Wyndham Rotunda in a Judge Judy trial.
Oh, that'd be so great.
That's the dream. I don't care about where he goes and wrestles. He can wrestle wherever he wants after that. I genuinely want to know, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure his 6-minute loss at WrestleMania to Randy Orton with Alexa Bliss, like, exploding in black goo wasn't his choice. But I kind of want to know what else was his choice. Apparently he didn't even like the outfit that they put him in. You know, it was, like, too hard to maneuver around in. So I'm curious to know kind of the Wyndham Rotunda story. That would be a great Netflix special. The Wyndham Rotunda story. Can you guys see it now? Like Gilmore Girls font?
Like an artistic, like, font title.
Like the More You Know music behind it. Yeah, exactly.
I like that a lot.
But I don't know if I necessarily... I'm interested in what he does next, but I'm not interested in him in a wrestling ring. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
I feel that's nice. That's neutral enough for me, right? That's nice on my end.
That is nice.
It still hurts when you say it, but it's nicer.
I understand that. All right, guys. Let me say the last thing I'll ask you, I guess, while we close this up is what, and then I think, Zach, you already answered this, but what is the match you guys are most looking forward to on the night coming up Saturday? Zach, I'll throw it over to you first.
I really think it is Eddie Kingston and CM Punk. Like going 2 weeks ago, it would have been Kenny Omega's defense against Hangman Page, but Eddie Kingston's so good, man, and CM Punk just being who he is enough. And it's the most believable and personal feud going in with the shortest amount of time. I think it's going to have the best video package, and I think it's just going to be a fight, which I think is going to make it stick out from the other matches on this particular card. I don't think we're going to have a ton of fights. We're going to have a lot of matches. But this is going to be like a fight and a personal one, and I think it's the most excited I am for any match. I don't think it will be the best match, but it's the one I'm going to be the most excited watching.
Ashley?
Very fair point. You almost kind of talked me into that too, and I'm a huge CM Punk fan, so I'm kind of right there with you, and I've grown to love Eddie Kingston also. So for me, that's probably like 1A or 1B. But it's as much as like kind of like you, like I'm surprised. Like I'm not saying Omega and Hangman because in my mind it's kind of like, all right, I'm pretty certain Hangman is gonna win. So of course I want to see it, but I don't know. Like I don't know. It's just like a weird feeling going into it. But the one I'm most looking forward to myself is Bryan Danielson and Miro. I just think that this version of Miro, has been captivating to me on the show. Like it's amazing what his 30-second or like a minute promos just for me have done. Just like in just like I said, just captivated me into the show, and the story he's been telling in that short time frame, it's just crazy. And I think, of course, like we all obviously know, like this version of Bryan is just like on another level. So I think, and with the story that behind Bryan himself, like his story is he's of course like he wants a shot at the title, but he's in his mind trying to get back to Kenny Omega, so that's what he's fighting for. And since he's one step away at this point, he's going to be fighting like hell to get there and to beat Miro. And I just think their clash is going to be so fun to see too. So I just, for whatever reason, like I'm just excited to see that match. But right there with you, that Punk and Eddie match, I agree. I think it's just going to be just a brawl. And that's, again, Punk in the shorts. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, Punk in the shorts is going to be great.
It is.
Mimi, are you excited for the CM Punk shorts match?
I agree with you, Ashley. The match I'm most excited for is the Bryan Danielson versus Miro match.
Wow.
I hate you guys so much. I'm so ready for bed. Bryan Danielson versus Miro. I just think it's the most unpredictable match. I think it's going to be the trickiest one to call. I think for the most part, some of the outcomes seem a little bit more obvious. I could be wrong. Maybe besides the tag team match, I'm not 100% sure on, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure about most of these, who's going over, and I don't know, and I also think I'm excited to see Miro. I know he had a match against Eddie Kingston, and don't get me wrong, Eddie Kingston is good in the ring for sure, but he's definitely more limited, I think, than a Bryan Danielson might be. And I want to see, and I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong, because now I have to think about that tag team match with Jon Moxley versus the Young Bucks. But I just want to see I just want to see Miro and Bryan Danielson go for like 30 minutes. I just want to see like an all-out, incredible wrestling match, something we don't get to see a lot of Miro on television. And if you guys remember, and I pointed this out on the tweeter before too, if you go back and watch that match with Bryan Danielson versus Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, the man had me feeling bad for the beast, Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
He was wrestling as a Planet champion at that time.
Yes.
He is so good. He's
Incredible.
So good.
It's one of my favorite matches I've ever seen.
Yes, and he is in the prime form of his life right now. I honestly think there's no better wrestler right now than Bryan Danielson, so that's got to be the match I'm looking forward to most, which is crazy to think about. And obviously we all here at the WWE Podcast wish Jon Moxley the best. I think I can clearly speak for all of us, too, and all of humanity besides the terrible human beings on this planet. Our, like, hero, our champion, our people's champion, genuinely. But I can't. I understand. I think they did a great pick. I don't know if I'd say I'd be as excited about Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson as I am with Miro. I think I'd definitely be excited for the match, but I think just the potential that this match has, and I hope people don't take that the wrong way. I'd obviously so love to see that match as well, and I'm glad Jon Moxley's taking care of himself first and foremost. Obviously, that all comes first, but this is just like, talk about a consolation prize. I will take it. And then obviously the main event as well. I think although it feels like we think we know what's going to happen, I bet they're going to get us to bite many of times. Like after that V trigger and the 14 V triggers and Hangman kicks out, I bet we're all standing up out of our seats. So
14 seems like so many.
Yeah, there's my last question for you guys for the night. There is your random question. How many V triggers does Kenny Omega hit Hangman Page with? Not goes for, but how many does he actually connect with?
Oh, man.
I'm gonna say he connects with 4.
Yeah.
I'm going with 14. I'm just sticking with it. I threw it out there. Let's go with it.
Jesus, with 4, that's so many to have to do. I don't think he hits that many of them. I think you're going to get a couple, but I think kicking out of that is a lot. I think we're going to see way closer to 4 than 14. If this were a WWE match, I'd be reasonably sure they're going to fall back on that. I think Kenny Omega and Hangman Page are a different level, and I think their story is such that you don't necessarily need that. I would even go south of 4.
All right, so if it's anywhere from 4 to 14, it's Ashley. If it's anywhere from 4 and under, it's Zach. And 14
We got her
and up,
boxed
it's
in
me.
again.
Kenny, if you're listening, make these two cry. 14 V-triggers or I'm done. Also, Punk, if you're listening, wear the freaking trunks, all right? Just do it.
Or wear shorts, dude. Just be you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be all right with the shorts. I'm not even going to lie. I think I'd be all right with the shorts. The trunks just
Okay,
drive
wear
me
the
nuts.
long boys then. Wear whatever she's going to like least.
Just get some long boys that don't look so stupid. Ugh,
Now,
Bobby Lashley
get like
looked great
gray
in the
or
long
white
boys.
ones.
When he made the transition, Bobby Lashley looked great. He's also
did.
going to appear, by the way, with American Top Team. I don't know if you guys heard about that, so.
Oh, I heard that
good.
somewhere.
Okay, all right, it's getting late. It's time for me to sign off, and it's time to go to bed. Thank you guys both. Again, one more time, let me throw out the Twitter handles, so if anybody wants to follow you who doesn't already. Zach.
At ZachNXT, at ZACHNXT.
And the multiple Ashley Mans.
Yeah, at ASHMANNS.
And you guys can follow me at Mimi Burrs. I'm not going to spell it out. That'll be a fun game for you on your Thursday evening. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Both of you guys, thank you so much. I'm sure I will talk to you soon. And we'll probably organize some kind of post-show to do, whether it's with the both of you, one of you, or this lovely person who filled in for me as well, I know, wanted to possibly hop on. So we've got a bunch of options here. What do you know? AEW, welcome to this side of the pond, Zach. It's the place to be. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. With that, I'm going to not give Zach a time to respond. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Good night.